All right, sweet. Flatline MMA podcast episode number 67. Ladies and gents, we got a big one this weekend. UFC 259, not one, not two, three title fights on the line. I cannot wait. This card is absolutely stacked. Before we get into that main card, which again, I cannot wait to dive deep into, let's just rewind. Last weekend, real quick, UFC Vegas 20. Jairzinho Rozenstruik taking on Cyril Gane, and I think which was supposed to be kind of a really important heavyweight bout. Cyril Gane just kind of winning in dominating fashion. 50-45 across the board. To those of you who didn't watch the fight, you're gonna think, hey, that's a pretty dominating win. Was it? Of course it was. Was it boring? Unfortunately, yes. I was kind of hoping for some more action in that fight, but I think Cyril did what he had to do to win. He was the aggressor. He definitely was the more skilled mixed martial artist in there. Jairzinho just kind of didn't have an answer for the movement and the quickness of Cyril Gane. But I wanted to get your take real quick on kind of what you thought of the fight. I know it wasn't the most exciting, but what were your thoughts real quick?
Yeah, Gane just did what he had to do to get the win. And, I know he got a lot of flack from Dana after the fight, but Rozenstruik didn't give him a whole lot to work with. He was kind of sitting back, waiting for him to make a mistake, waiting for a counter-punch opportunity, and Gane just wouldn't give it to him. So he remained active enough to get the win, mixed in, takedowns, had a pretty good array of strikes to the body, to the head, to the leg. He mixed it up pretty well. And, nothing super impressive, but he did what he had to get the win.
Yeah, exactly. And still undefeated, still super young in the sport and in the UFC, right? Obviously cracking into the top 5 there. So he's definitely in for a big fight next. But overall, UFC Vegas 20, hey, was it the most exciting card in the world? Absolutely not. For whoever watched Pedro Munoz versus Jimmy Rivera, you were in for a treat. Fight of the night. We knew that fight was going to be absolutely ridiculous. Kudos to Jimmy Rivera. I don't even know how he stood in that fight. His leg just got absolutely battered. Amazing fight by both of those guys. Amazing rematch. Pedro Munoz now back in the mix in the bantamweight division. So UFC Vegas 20 in the books. Let's move forward. UFC 259 this Saturday night. Guys, I cannot express how excited I am to review this fight card. 3 title fights. We got the men's bantamweight title on the line. We got the women's featherweight title on the line, and then we got the light heavyweight title on the line. This card is so stacked that we have Dom Cruz headlining the prelims. And that's the first fight I want to get into, man. We don't have to go too in depth, but first of all, what do you think about Dom Cruz versus Casey Kenny on headlining the prelims? When was the last time Dom Cruz wasn't either a co or a main a headliner in a card? This is weird to see.
Yeah, I can't even remember. I mean, even like when he was in the WEC, he was one of the headliner fights. So it's been a really long time. But then again, he hasn't been the most active, and he is coming off a loss. So I guess it kind of makes sense. And with how competitive that 135-pound division is right now, with the Corey Sandhagens, the Rob Fonts, the Aljamain Sterling, Peter Yan. There's so many, elite level fighters in that division now. So, I mean, it's a good fight for him. It's a good opportunity for him to get a win, get his name back in there. But yeah, that division with TJ coming back and all those guys, and Cody Garbrandt too, coming off a win. It's one of the tougher divisions in the whole UFC, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. It's starting to turn into the lightweight division, man, where it's just the top 15 is full of killers and just so many exciting fights to make. He's going up against a guy, Casey Kenny, an up-and-comer, 3-fight win streak. This kid's good everywhere. He's quick. He has just amazing technique. Striking looks really good. This is a great fight for him to get his name in there. You beat Dom Cruz, man. That's like kind of a stepping stone into the top 10, into the top 5, into those bigger fights, right? And something that I just, I didn't realize until today. When was Dom Cruz's last win? Do you happen to know?
Was it Dillashaw? No.
It was same year as Dillashaw. So back in 2016 when he fought Uriah Faber. So
okay.
Put that into perspective, man. It's like, yeah, you know, he hasn't been so active, right? He's on a 2-fight losing streak, and his last win was more than 4 years ago. That's so depressing to hear, man. And like that puts my confidence for him like at an all-time low coming into this fight. Casey Kenny coming in with a head full of steam, the younger guy, up and coming. How do you see this fight playing out?
Yeah, the thing that really set Dom Cruz apart from so many other people, but was the way he moves. You know, it was such a tough puzzle for people to figure out, and Cody Garbrandt was really the first one to kind of crack the code. And I think more, well, not more and more people, but I think Henry Cejudo was able to see some of, you know, Cody's success and was able to devise a game plan. And I think the more, you know, Dom fights, more people are kind of catching on to that. So, you know, hopefully he comes in with some new patterns and some new techniques. And but yeah, no, it's a tough fight for him, but I like Dom a lot. I think he's gonna get the win.
I hope so, man. That's who I'm, you know, my heart is telling me Dom Cruz, decision, looking like the old Dom Cruz, quick footwork on point. But Casey Kenny's looked good, man. 3-fight win streak. He's got the momentum behind him. I'm going to go Casey Kenny. I'm going to go decision. I think it's just going to be, you know, piece him up on the feet. Again, we got to see how Dom's going to be after that, you know, knockout to Henry Cejudo back in 2020, right? That obviously eats up at you. You know, first time he's been finished in a while. Think about it, back when he fought Faber the first time he got finished, but that was via submission. So first one to stop Dom Cruz is Henry Cejudo last year. So I'm curious to see how he'll bounce back there. But for the fact that Dom Cruz is on headlining the prelim just means how stacked this card is. So prelim headliner taking us into the pay-per-view here. Guys, we got a banger to start off UFC 259 pay-per-view. Thiago Santos taking on Alexander Rakic. My God, this is a good fight. You got a guy in Thiago Santos who, although he's coming off of, you know, realistically 2 losses, John Jones, and then the submission loss to Glover Teixeira, this man is so dangerous. And arguably, you know, the people think he won that Jones fight. I know me and you can agree with that. One of Jones's hardest fights he's had in his career, right? I think there was a lot of questions there. And then the Glover fight, you know, he gets caught in a real rear naked choke. But this man, I think people forget that he has dynamite in his hands. So, I mean, this one's going to be just electric fight. This could be a fight of the night right here. Taking on Alexander Rakic. The guy has just been on a tear, right? Had that little setback back in 2019 versus Volkan Ozdemir, but came back with a vengeance, dominating Anthony Smith back in August. Again, this guy is just good everywhere. This fight just screams like fight of the night, slugfest. I'm curious to see who you got in this fight. What do you think?
Yeah, this is a tough one to pick because they're kind of similar, but I think Santos edges them out in the power department, and I think, you know, the longer this fight goes, the more they trade. I think Thiago kind of gets it done. So I'm gonna go with Santos on this one.
Yeah, I think Thiago's, you know, especially after his last performance, I think he's going to make a statement here. I think we're going to see a big knockout. For as good as Rakic has looked, I look at his fight against Volkan Ozdemir as definitely a weakness there. And, you know, Volkan hits hard, Thiago Santos hits harder. So I think Rakic is in for a bad night. I'm going Thiago Santos early knockout here. Calling that. Moving forward, we have a exciting lightweight scrap. We got Islam Makhachev. People are calling him Khabib 2.0, taking on Drew Dober. Islam Makhachev is on a 6-fight winning streak. This man is just a protege of Khabib, right? One setback in the UFC back when he originally first started here. Taking on a guy, Drew Dober, who 3-fight win streak, just TKO'd Alexander Hernandez. This kid is up and coming. Again, good everywhere, big, strong kid. This, again, another fight that's on my fight of the night radar. It's like people want to take a look at Islam, right? Does he have that same mentality as Khabib, that just ground and pound, that sambo? Like, he does, right? But we just haven't seen a lot of him to say, is this kid next? We haven't seen him fight that top tier, like the fights that Khabib fought, right? So this is going to be that fight that's going to put him in the limelight, put him in that, like, hey, what if we throw him in the top 5, right? This is a great fight. Obviously, you got Islam, who's an amazing wrestler, amazing grappler. Right? I want to see him on the feet, because I think Dober's going to make this a boxing match, and I'm fucking pumped to see this one. So, okay, break this one down for me. What do you think here?
Yeah, we saw in that last fight with Hernandez, Drew Dober, his hands super heavy. I mean, he's got some incredible power for this division. So I don't think Islam's going to want to stand and trade with him at all. I think he's going to be shooting for the legs. He's going to be pressuring him to the cage most of the fight, and look for the takedown and look for the ground and pound, look for the grappling. But I think if Dober can keep his distance, if he can fend off some of the takedowns and because I feel like he is going to get taken down at some point. But if he can make the most of the time that they have on the feet in the beginning of each round, there's definitely a chance of him knocking out Islam. I mean, his strikes are just so heavy. But who's going to win the fight? I think Islam's got a better chance of winning the fight. Just with the takedown, with the grappling, I think he's probably gonna shoot for the takedown right off the bat.
Yeah, it's super exciting, and it's going to answer, I think, a lot of questions about Islam, right? Can he take that big shot? We saw, I don't know if it was his UFC debut or his second fight. He got KO'd stiff, right? So it says a lot about his chin, right? Obviously, he's on a 6-fight win streak. It's tough to say that, but he's fighting a guy in Drew Dober who, like you said, this man just put away Alexander Hernandez, who is a super durable guy. We just saw him on last week's card. I'm curious to see, right? The game plan for Khabib has always been to shoot in for the shot, right? But Khabib has evolved as a fighter where he was standing with Conor, he was standing with Gaethje. I don't think Islam's at that point in his career where he's going to do that, and he has the confidence to. So I agree. It's going to go to the ground. Can Dober get back up? And I don't think Islam is, he's Khabib's prodigy, don't get me wrong, but I just haven't seen enough for me to be confident to say he's the next Khabib 2.0, right? What I have seen is Dober put people's lights out, him look super impressive, and I think he's going to get the upset here. I agree. I think he's going to knock out Islam. I think it's going to be a massive, massive upset. So that's a fight to watch out for, guys. Lightweight scrap. This one, definitely a lot of implications here, right? You got Islam sitting at number 14. I think Dober fell out of the top 15. I think he got replaced by Gregor again. So I think, this fight, this kind of propels you, I'd say, a big fight into the top 10. So I'm curious. This one's going to be a slugfest, and I think Dober's going to get this done. So let's fucking go. Awesome. So exciting lightweight scrap there. And then, guys, let's just get into the title fights, because there's not one, not two, but 3 title fights in a row on this. Let's get into the first one, baby. We got the bantamweight title on the line. You got Petr Yan making his first title defense, taking on kind of the surging Aljamain Sterling, man. And this fight is super interesting because you got Petr Yan, who, just claimed the belt back in Abu Dhabi last July, right? Taking on a legendary Jose Aldo, TKOs him, looked phenomenal in the fight, right? Just Petr Yan, probably some of the best boxing in the UFC, right? The guy is mean. He's from friggin' Russia. He doesn't smile. This guy is just the definition of tough in this division. And then he's taking on a guy, Aljamain Sterling, who they don't call him Funkmaster for a reason here, right? The way he moves His grappling is just insane. His movement is just weird. It's funky. This guy's good everywhere, right? He's on a 5-fight win streak right now. That just doesn't happen on accident. This fight is such like a toss-up in my mind. It's so tough to just predict how this fight's gonna go. Does Petr Yan just piece Aljamain on the feet and then it goes to the ground? Does Aljamain hit Petr Yan with something he's never seen before? I have no idea. It's such a hard fight to call. So I'm curious. Give me a breakdown of this fight. What do you think?
Yeah, I hate to do the MMA math, but when you look at, you know, both of their opponents who they've faced in the past, you know, I think even though Sterling is getting mostly decisions in his fights, I think he's kind of had the tougher opponents. I mean, Jan's fought Rivera, got a decision over him. Knocked out Faber, but I think kind of at that point in Faber's career, he's kind of on the tail end, not really at his peak anymore. But still a good win for him, and he beat Jose Aldo, which is kind of the same case. You know, he's, you know, not where he was, you know, 5-6 years ago. But nevertheless, both good wins. But I think with the way Sterling's going, the level of competition he's been fighting, how he's been beating people, I think he's just looking better and better every single time he comes out, and I think it's his time. I think he's going to get the win.
Yeah, I think Sterling, you know, with just his unique style and the way he fights, I think he does pose a ton of issues for Jan. And I agree. I think the level of opponents that Jan's faced, I'm not saying he was gifted the belt. I'm not saying that at all. I think he was so very deserving of it. But, you know, I think Aljamain said it in kind of the embedded, right? He said, Petr Yan's the paper champ, right? We left with, you know, Henry Cejudo leaving. We had, you know, TJ getting popped, right? So it's like, we really haven't had that like true bantamweight championship fight. And like, that's kind of what I'm curious, like after this, like to me, I think Aljamain's going to get it done as well. I think he's too unpredictable in his style, and everyone can go back and say, well, he got knocked out by Moraes. You know, I think it was a perfectly placed just shin to the face. And look what he's done since. Like, look at the names that he's just taken off his list, right? Brett Johns, Cody Stamann, Jimmy Rivera, Pedro Munoz, Corey Sandhagen. Corey Sandhagen, we all just saw what he did to Frankie Edgar, guys. Corey Sandhagen is next in line for this title. And Aljamain made that look way too easy. And I think a lot of people say, well, if it stays standing, Jan's going to piece him up. I disagree, man. I disagree. I think, you know, there were points in the Aldo Jan fight where, you know, I'm not saying Jan was in trouble, but Jose was having his way a little bit, right? Jan finished the fight. Don't get me wrong, great win, but you know, an older Jose Aldo kind of gave him, I believe it was either the third round, I forget what round it was, but you could tell Jan was just, you know, he was in a little bit of trouble there. So I don't know. I think Funkmaster is a little bit too crafty, and I think it's something that Jan hasn't seen before. And I'm pretty confident that Aljamain's going to win this. I think, I don't know if it's going to be a finish. I think he can get a decision win here. I think Jan's too tough. You know, there's no evidence for that. I'm going to be like, Jan's going to get knocked out here. I don't want to say that and seem ignorant, but I think Aljamain gets this done decision. And new Aljamain Sterling. The boys are calling it now. If that's the case, I think we're both saying, I don't know if did you say via decision? What did you say?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to pick. I don't know if because it's a 5-round fight, a title fight, so yeah, it's a lot of time. Yeah, I'll go Sterling decision.
Yeah, so if that's the case, right? Let's say it's a decision. Let's say it's you know, a dominant victory by Sterling. What happens next? Because if Sterling wins, did they throw Sandhagen at him again? Like, does that have any appeal? Because like Sandhagen's coming off the biggest win of his career, possibly knockout of the year with the flying knee. I mean, he just lost to Sterling last year. Did they run that back? What happens if Aljamain wins?
I think they have to. I don't think there's any other fighter. You know, you get TJ. Well,
Did they throw TJ in the mix?
I don't know. I don't think anyone's got as strong of a case as Sandhagen. I mean, the fight between them two was so short and over so quickly that I don't know. I feel like most people kind of forget it even really happened. I mean, it
Yeah.
was you didn't really get to see a whole lot. You know, he ended up getting submitted uh, pretty quick, but there was really no exchanges. Um, I don't know. I think it was just what I'm not gonna say a fluke, but it was just like I don't know. Sandhagen made a mistake. If that never happened, the fight could have been totally different. You know, it wasn't like that was an indication of their skill level. I think it was just something that happened. It was just a weird thing. Sandhagen got caught, but yeah. I mean, Sandhagen's remained pretty active. You know, he's winning in pretty impressive fashion. I think he's the one that needs to get the next shot.
Is that either way, whoever wins? If Jan wins, same thing, Sandhagen gets thrown in?
Yeah,
Or like, do you think there's any chance that the UFC does throw TJ in for a title shot or no?
I don't know. I think a lot of people would be upset, especially the fighters too, with it wasn't like a like where there's some cases where there's like a tainted substance and it was like an
Hmm.
accident. He was injecting himself like full full fully knowing what he was doing was against the rules. Um, even though he left the sport as champ, I think he has to earn it back. He has to prove that the PEDs weren't a factor in him getting to the championship.
Yeah, agreed. And again, the UFC's about the money. And is that the money fight? If TJ comes back, right? People are going to want to see that. I guess aside from TJ, do you have any thoughts about potentially Henry Cejudo being in the mix? Like, say Jan wins this, right? Henry's been talking a lot of shit, saying he wants to come back. Do you think the UFC would do a move like that and just throw Henry versus Jan, or Henry versus Sterling? Like, do you think that could happen?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can see it happening. I mean, he's still tweeting, he's still on social media,
Mm.
still calling out fighters, doing his cringe stuff. So it's definitely something that he's still entertaining. I don't know if he's still training and all that, but he's trying to keep his name relevant. So I think he will fight at some point in the future. He's just waiting for a good time to do it. I think he wants to make that money fight.
Yeah, I agree. But I'm so excited for this fight. Two just really unique styles going at it. I think we both said it. This is going to go 5 rounds. So this is going to be a good one. This is one that you do not leave the couch for. This is a good fight. I think Aljo earned his stripes for this one, and we're really going to see what Peter Yan's made of here, right? Like we just kind of said, is his rise to the top? Was it a little fabricated? Was it a little bit given? We're going to find out on Saturday night. So I'm super excited. Jan Sterling for the bantamweight title. Let's fucking go. Moving forward, co-main event. Guys, women's featherweight belt on the line. Amanda Lioness Nunes taking on Megan Anderson. Amanda Nunes, the GOAT of women's MMA, featherweight champion, bantamweight champion. There's just so many things we can say about her. She hasn't lost since 2015. She's an absolute tear. She's just dismantled everyone that's been in front of her. Even if she has a decision, she's 50-45ing anyone that's in front of her as well. Taking on Megan Anderson, 2-fight win streak, someone relatively new to the UFC as of 2018, and Vic the champ. Definitely worthy. She's got the length. She's got the range. Something that Amanda Nunes hasn't really fought before. So I think a lot of people are asking that question. Is the height, is the reach going to be an issue for Amanda Nunes? So Kev, break this one down for me.
Yeah, I mean, Nunes is one of those people that you can't bet against. And I know I've said that before, but you know, as of her last 1, 2, 3, 4, basically since her last Shevchenko fight, she's been relatively untested. I mean, there hasn't been a single moment where someone's landed a good shot on her or they've put her in some danger in a grappling exchange. She's knocking people out and she's winning decisions by just completely mauling people. I mean, I don't know. She's showing no sign of slowing down. She's looking better and better every single time. And I think at this point, she's just levels above everybody in the female side of the sport. So going with Nunes, but that is a good question to bring up. I mean, the only fighter that might have been taller than her was actually de Randamie. You know, she fought her and she was a pretty big girl. So I don't know. I don't think the size is going to be an issue. I think Nunes' skills and her experience and how long she's been in the sport, I think it's gonna carry her to victory. It's either gonna be a dominant decision or she's gonna get the knockout.
Yeah, and you know, I've been hearing a lot of stuff about the height, the reach, but I mean, I look at Megan Anderson's record, right? I guess before coming into the UFC, very, very dominant, a very dominant champion and Invicta, right? But look at her 2 losses here. We got her loss to Holly Holm, which was a unanimous decision where Holly just continually brought her to the ground and didn't let her back up. What's Nunes going to do to her? You know, Felicia Spencer, rear naked choke on Megan Anderson, right? Felicia Spencer, who just got her ass whooped by Amanda Nunes. Well, I know we don't want to talk about MMA math, but all signs are leading to a Nunes finish here, wherever she wants, whether that's on the feet, on the ground. I don't see it going any way different for Nunes, and still just another dominant victory. And this could be one of those things where it's just a massive upset. I don't see it. Nunes just had her first child. I think she's more motivated than ever to continue this just GOAT run of greatness, which I guess brings to the next point here. And I know we can talk about it a little bit more after the fight, but if she wins this, man, do they have to set up the Shevchenko trilogy? Is that the only thing left for her in this sport? I know we can talk about Kayla Harrison. You know, she's in another promotion, so I doubt that's going to happen. But like in the UFC, is her final test, and then she could probably hang them up, Shevchenko trilogy?
Yeah, just looking at. Yeah, I mean, she's fought everybody. You know, everybody that's close to her weight. She's moved up in weight. You know, she's had people come up to her weight to try and fight her. I mean, I don't think there's anybody else left unless, you know, none of the straw weights are going to move up to the bantamweight. But yeah, that's the only compelling fight in my mind for her. I mean, after that, you know, what else is there for her to do? I mean, she's just going to defend the belt until she retires. But yeah, no, I don't see any tests for her looking at the whole roster besides Shevchenko. I think that's the only fight that can be made.
Yeah, I mean, you look, obviously the featherweight division, there's like 4 fighters, right? You know, and then you look at bantamweight, right? Is there anything that's compelling there, right? Like she dominated de Randamie, knocked the living shit out of Holly Holm. I mean, you got Aspen Ladd, Irene Aldana, like you got some, but that just, I don't think that motivates her to come back. I think Shevchenko, I think maybe a cross promotion fight with Kayla Harrison would do massive numbers. Maybe the Cyborg rematch, another cross promotion fight. Like, I think after this, I mean, would you be surprised if she wins on Saturday night and retires? Because like I kind of thought about that for a little bit, right? She just had her first kid. She probably wants to like be there, be there when she grows up, right? And she's done everything in the sport. She could go up on top. Would you be surprised if you saw her put down the gloves?
I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, there's really nothing else for her to do. She became champion, defended it, went for a double champ. Defended that. I mean, she's at the top of the game. There's no other divisions for her to go into. She's not going to go down in weight. She's got the 2 wins over Shevchenko. So, there's, I guess, not a whole lot of incentive for her to do it, to take that fight. Yeah, I mean, maybe she could do what Cejudo's doing. Just sit in the background, see what happens, see how everything plays out over the next year or two, because she's still, I forget how old she is, but I don't think she's that old.
She's literally like still in her prime. It's wild. She's literally 32 years old.
Yeah, so she's got time. I mean, if she wants to take a year off, she can totally do it. But yeah, I think, yeah, like you said, the Kayla Harrison fight, I think that's the only one that would be compelling. But Kayla Harrison has a deal with the PFL where I think she has to be there for the next 2 years or so.
Yeah.
So that fight wouldn't happen until, Nunes is, 34, 35.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that would be the next thing. But and then just take some fights up until then. But yeah, I don't see any fights that make me think that someone can beat her. I don't see her being tested at all.
Yeah, and it's super unfortunate because you don't want to get to that level where it's like, I don't think anyone thinks that she's this boring champion, right? She knocks people out. Her decisions are just dominant. She's like a Khabib, right? But I think it's getting to that point where it's like, all right, Demetrius Johnson status, where like you just know he's going to win every single fight that puts in front of him. And you know what? Could Megan pull off an upset? Of course, anything can happen in the sport. You can catch her in a submission, whatever it could be. I just don't see it happen on Saturday night. I see Nunes getting her hand raised. I think it's going to be honestly relatively very easy. Like she made it on the Felicia Spencer fight, where I think a lot of people thought Felicia Spencer was going to be that, big girl to kind of, push Nunes's pace. Wasn't going to let her get back up if it took her to the ground. And we all saw what Nunes did. It was one of her easy fights. GDR was actually kind of a harder fight for her than Felicia Spencer. So I see an easy victory. This GOAT train is just going to continue to build up. Her resume is just absolutely stacked. She's getting into the territory where when you talk about MMA greats, you can't just break it up into men and women anymore. She's getting up there into like top 3 status of all time, like MMA fighters, which is crazy. So guys, Amanda Nunes defending her title against Megan Anderson. Featherweight title on the line. Don't miss that one because you don't want to miss greatness there. And then let's get to the main event, guys. Light heavyweight strap on the line. You got Jan Blachowicz taking on Israel Adesanya. Israel Adesanya, the current middleweight champion, coming up a weight division, trying to be the champ. Only a few champs in the history of the UFC. Israel's trying to be that guy. He's got his hands full, man. Jan Blachowicz, just an absolute nightmare matchup. Winner of 4 in a row, KOing Luke Rockhold, KOing Corey Anderson stiff, and then KOing Dominic Reyes for the vacant light heavyweight belt. Taking on Israel Adesanya, who has been flawless in his entire MMA career, 20-0. Most recent victory coming off of a TKO knockout of Paulo Costa, which was just one of the best, championship performances you could see. After, again, everyone thought Costa was going to be the guy to knock out Izzy, right? Yoel was going to be the guy to knock out Izzy. Whitaker was going to be the guy to knock out. Izzy just keeps, I think, proving these doubters wrong, man. And this matchup is so interesting because, again, he's coming up in weight. I'm curious to see how big he's going to look going against a guy like Jan, who's just an absolute monster of a man, right? And Jan, who just had a career resurgence. I mean, this guy came in and he lost 4 of his like first 5 fights, and he's now a champion in this division. Yes, it was for a vacant title. He didn't beat John Jones for it, but that doesn't fucking matter. He knocked out Dominic Reyes, who, if we're talking about MMA math, everyone thought beat John Jones. So he beat whatever, the current champion. Let's just say that. Break this fight down for me, because I think I've had this one marked in my calendar for so long. I can't even tell you who wins this one. I'm going to make a guess. I'm going to make my prediction, but it is so tough to pick. And like, I know people are like, well, this is pretty easy. Izzy 20-0, unstoppable. I really believe people are overlooking Jan in this one. So I'm curious to hear your take on this.
Yeah, I think when you look at the skills, or just the way that these guys fight, neither of them are going to go for a takedown. I think it's more likely that Jan goes for the takedown, but I don't think he's going to do that in this fight. So when it comes to like a standing battle, you know, Jan's going to have the power advantage, but Izzy will probably be a little bit faster, and he's just the techniques that he has, the way he's able to move, the way he's able to set up some shots with his feints and everything and his kicks. I think Izzy's got so many different tools that he's going to be able to get the win. But Jan's got the power. So, I mean, like we saw with the Romero fight in the very first round, you see when Romero came with I think it was an overhand right and just knocked Izzy's mouthpiece to the side. So Izzy can be hit. You know, it's not impossible to hit him. So there's always that chance, and Jan's proved me wrong, you know, past couple fights. So, and coming up in weight, you don't know how Izzy's gonna react. I think with this, since it's been planned out for such a long time, he's been able to put on the weight correctly, and it's not. I think the biggest problem with fighters when they move up a division, they do it on like short notice, kind of like how Max Holloway did. He wasn't able to put on the weight correctly and all that. So, but yeah, I think Izzy just technically is a more sound fighter on the feet. I think the difference maker could be if Jan goes for the takedown, just having the extra size, having the extra strength. He might be able to do it, but I think that's unlikely, and I think Izzy wins the fight. I don't know if it's by knockout. You know, Jan has been knocked out before, but I think Izzy gets the win.
I've been going back and forth on this one. Watching prior fights, you know, Izzy's so goddamn good. And I said, I don't think anyone's going to beat Izzy. I really believe that. I think Jan's going to knock him out. I don't know why. And I know I picked against Izzy, and I have nothing against Izzy. I think he's a phenomenal fighter. And I don't think anyone in the middleweight division can beat him. I think he's unstoppable there. He's moving up in weight. He's taking on a guy who has just so much momentum, just won the belt. People wrote him off early in his career. He's a career resurgence. This guy has power. And I'm not saying like he's never felt before, because he fought Yoel Romero. He took a shot from Yoel Romero. And that's kind of why the whole, like, you know, pause in the middle of the octagon happened, because I think he felt that shot and Izzy was like, oh shit, I don't want to get hit by that again. And I don't think that Jan is going to do what Yoel did. And I think Jan's going to come after him, and I think he's going to want the knuckle, because I think Dana in the UFC want Izzy to win this. The next double champ. Izzy's undefeated, right? Well, that's a lot of money. Jan's going to feel disrespected. Oh, they're only bringing this guy up because they think he can beat me. I don't know, man. When you write off Jan, everyone thought Corey Anderson was going to beat him. Everyone thought Luke Rockhold was going to beat him. And we saw what he's done to all these guys. Dom Reyes, too. I mean, the Dom Reyes that fought John Jones, trust me, I picked Dom Reyes against Jan. I think he's got something to prove. And and I think he's going to shock the world. I think he's going to knock Izzy out. You know, that being said, my second prediction would be Izzy 5 rounds, flawless performance. But my first prediction, what I'm sticking to, Jan's going to knock him out. I think it's going to be just something crazy, just an overhand right that puts Izzy out. I don't think it's going to be anything flashy. I think it's just going to be overhand right time. Jan getting it done. And still, obviously, Izzy will recover from that. He's still the middleweight champion. Does it put a little hurt in his legacy? Absolutely not. He went up in weight. There's nothing, you can say bad about that. I'm curious how, with him going up in weight, Izzy, he's already like a naturally skinny guy. What do you think he's going to weigh in at weigh-ins? Because I don't think he's even going to be close. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it doesn't look like he cuts weight to make what is it, middleweight?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be totally surprised if he comes in at like his walking around weight, if he's like 195 or something like that, and he's like 10 pounds under. I wouldn't be totally surprised. But yeah, I'd be curious to see what he comes in at too, because I can't picture him at 205.
No. He's just this naturally skinny guy, and he's obviously going to bulk, but I don't. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think he's coming in with any more weight than 195. I just can't see that. He's just a naturally skinny dude. So I'm curious. I think there's definitely a lot on the line here. Like, how do you see it playing out? Let's just do two scenarios real quick. Izzy loses, right? He obviously can go back to middleweight. What's the next fight for him? Is it the winner of Costa Whitaker? Because those are two guys that he just knocked out, right? And let's just say he loses, he goes back down. I mean, he obviously still has the belt. What's the next fight for him there?
Yeah, I mean, it's still Ivan Vittori. He's at number 5. They had a close fight, and he's had a pretty good performance.
Him versus Till.
Oh yeah, Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Yeah,
It's tough.
I'm not even thinking of him losing. I'm thinking of him just winning, and then John Jones fight happening.
All right, so that brings me to my next point. Okay, so I was going to ask, if he wins, he is now the middleweight champion. He's now the light heavyweight champion. What happens next? Is that because the Jones is a heavyweight? So does he defend his belt at light heavyweight, or is this just like a ploy to bait Jones back down? I don't see him being at light heavyweight. I see him doing one fight and then Jones, and then that's it.
Yeah, I think what Adesanya should do if he does win that fight, I feel like the whole idea of him going to light heavyweight is to make that John Jones fight, that big money fight. They should just vacate his middleweight belt, defend the light heavyweight belt, just get himself used to that division. So he'd have 2 fights under his belt, and then go against John Jones. Because Jones does he even have a fight signed yet for heavyweight? Or are we just assuming it's the winner of Stipe Ngannou?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to take a non-title fight at this point. So I think we're going to have to wait till April here, or end of March.
Yeah, so he's still got a while for him to fight. So that's what I think he should do, but who knows?
Do you think if Izzy gets it done, say impressive fashion, right? Do you think he just calls out John Jones and then they could potentially make that fight before Jones even fights at heavyweight? Do you think that could kind of spoil the John Jones move to heavyweight? If say he knocks him out, let's just say first round knockout, he calls out John Jones. the people are going to want to see that. And like, does that bait him out of going to heavyweight? I don't know. I mean, I heard Jones is 240 right now, so I don't know if he can fucking do that, but
Yeah, I feel like Jones has probably put in so much work to put the weight on and put on muscle to get up to that weight to be competitive. You know, to not be undersized at heavyweight, to just, you know, go back, lose all the weight. I don't know. I feel like since he's already in the process of doing it, just finish out what his plan was, to do that heavyweight fight, and then after that, then he can evaluate if he wants to, you know, fight again at heavyweight, you know, or, you know, go down and lose the weight and then commit to light heavyweight, because I think that's a lot of stress on his body. You know, he's probably hitting the weights pretty heavy right now. He's probably, you know, eating more than he usually does to put on the weight. You know, to just turn around, you know, after, I don't know how long he's been doing it, and start cutting weight again. I don't know.
yeah.
I think he's already on his way to heavyweight. I think that's already in the works. Just finish that out right now.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I'm super curious to see what's going to happen with him. And, you know, obviously this fight on Saturday night, I think definitely is going to play a lot for his future decision. If he does win the heavyweight belt, you know, does he come back down? Whatever that is, you know, Jones likes to call his own shots. You know, Izzy's getting to the point where he's a superstar. He's going to call his own shots. So yeah, Israel Adesanya, looking to be, what is the 4th or 5th double champ in UFC history. He's got a massive challenge ahead of him. So obviously main event, UFC 259. Make sure you tune into that one, because this one's going to be fireworks. So final predictions, we had and New, and Still, and New. Guys, UFC 259 is absolutely stacked. I think it's going to be one of the, you know, I wouldn't say highest pay-per-views ever, but, you know, this one's going to be up there. I think there's so much talent on here. You'd be stupid not to buy this Saturday night. ESPN Plus, buy that shit. Pay-per-view, $69.99, I believe they upped it to. So, Kev, anything else? What do we got?
That's it.
Cool. Guys, go subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're trying to blow this up. Go give us a thumbs up. Shoot us with a like. Our Instagram is blowing up. I believe we're at 11.5K followers. Thank you guys so much for all the love, for the likes, for the shout outs. Love you guys. Go to our website, www.FlatlinedMMA.com. Go buy some merch. Go read our blogs. We try to stay up to date with everything UFC, MMA related. Go buy our merch. Go support the boys so we can continue putting out awesome content. Go follow us every single platform: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, putting out fire tweets as well. Love you guys. Be the best. Until next time, Flatline MMA. Peace.